welcome to DC Fan Gives Hope. So, you know what I'm really hating? Basically the hate. Because Avengers Infinity comes out, there's a lot of groups just bashing the Justice League movie because it probably wasn't as successful as the 18 movie Marvel universe is. But again, some people claim that Avengers Infinity isn't as good, as it could have been. And there was also this, anyway, so for me, you shouldn't try to compare how one film did compared to the other, or try to put it in the same bracket. That's like me putting Avatar in the same league as Valerian or something like that. Look at that, or something weird or along the same lines, because right now we're having a boost in comic book movies, and you can say that that each one of them has faults of its own. Marvel being the same sort of ingredients in one, DC not quite hitting a mark with everybody, but they're still relatively good. But I call these people and groups that post these just trolls, and just to get clickbait people to come in. And I mean, most of the people don't go onto these websites, they just look at the heading and they comment on it. Not even on the website page itself, but comment on the Facebook bit. So I don't know where they're trying to do, but they get a catchy headline and it's just, who cares? If you enjoy the movie, fine, but you don't need to, bash it by comparing it to another one, so to speak. The other thing I hate is, critics, for instance, right? Critics, I don't believe they should exist. Take this idea, for instance. Right now, most of the critics are watching all these films like Sharknado and everything else, and they're giving it some sort of great review. But what actually makes a good movie? What makes a critic a critic? Apart from being critical, of course. But do they go to school? Do they have to get a membership or a license to be a critic? Do they look for editing? Do they look for acting ability? That sort of stuff. And to be honest, they can't be. Not if they're giving great reviews to cheap sci-fi TV movies like Sharknado or Killer Shark or Robot Shark or something as daft as that. So they can't be looking at the editing, because as we all know, on the DC films from BVS and Man of Steel, they were films that you could easily understand, and special effects were pretty decent enough, and it was well acted enough, and it was edited, and the music and everything else. So so basically all you're really asking a critic is, did you like it, and why are we putting their views higher than everybody else? I mean, critics have only came to the big stage as soon as the internet. Basically, before the internet, nobody really gave a toss really about critics. Nobody really bought a paper to find out what critic from that paper thought of a play before they went to see it. Well, for me anyway. But because of the internet, people are basing their cinema experience by whatever a web page says about the film, and then they won't go if it's a fresh or a rotten. So they can't really. So all you're really doing is listening to something like 100 odd people that have seen the film, may have liked it and thought it was okay, but it still gets a Rotten Tomato or whatever. So the only really basis thing you should go on is the audience score on these websites. Now, here's my idea. Yeah, audience scores, that's what you go for. Not the Rotten Tomato scores, but the audience. Because now, here's the thing. you know how we sometimes, well, I do anyway, I leave the cinema and I occasionally ask people what they thought about it when they leave. And so when I went to see like Justice League, they thought it was good, but short. You know, so what I would then now do would ask a couple other people, right? And then do like a percentage, you know, like 8 out of 10 people liked the film, out of the 10 people we asked. But, you know, instead of the star system, instead of the 5 stars, how many times have you seen a movie that said it was fantastic or the funniest film of the year, 4 stars, 4 stars, The Observer, 4 stars, and you go to see it and you went, wow, that was a letdown. That seriously was. So what we should be doing is looking at a poster, maybe saying, we asked moviegoers, and out of that, say, 100%, 90 out of 100 said they liked it. Right, that's fine, that's okay, that's me. There's a good chance I'll like it. The normal people who don't believe they're anybody famous because they're not in the limelight, because you're asking them as they leave the picture. And maybe that's what we should do. If you want to go and see a film, like, let's say the cinema, you go to a cinema and the cinema has got a score. I think some web page does do that, it gives it a 4 or 5 star, but is that from a critic from their own cinema? Because really deep down you don't want the cinema giving a film 2 or 3 stars, because then not a lot of people will go to that movie or spend money in that cinema. So cinemas, you shouldn't really pay too much attention to the cinema score. But when it comes to advertising the movie itself, you should do something like 5 out of 10, 9 out of 9, 9 out of 10, and asking just Joe Blogs. Well, let me know what you think about the rating system. As I say, I seen Deadpool and I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was the funniest film I've ever seen. And I asked some other people and they thought it was okay. So what makes these films stand out? What makes are we all lemmings? Do we just follow the popular brand and then force ourselves to believe that we're with the bigger group that love these films, when deep down we're like, it's okay, it's fine, but should I like it because all these critics are raving about it, and I've went in and I raised my hopes up, and because I raised my hopes up and because it said it's good, I've got to now say it's good. Because I want to kid myself on that I really, really love this film. But there we go. So that's why I check the audience score more than I do the critical score. And sadly enough, most people don't. Most people rely on critics, and I honestly think critics and web pages shouldn't exist. Just get the average person that leaves the cinema and ask a few of them, and then you can pass on to your friend. Well, I went to the cinema, asked 3 guys, they loved it. So take your own opinion for that. So out of the 3 guys I asked, 2 of them said they loved it. So let me know what your thoughts and feelings are. Are critics really, really, really overused, and we should actually get rid of them, and make up our own minds? And why are these websites, why are we even paying attention to these clickbait websites that keep on comparing movies to the other and slandering? Can we not just enjoy that the film was good for us and not having to read what all these biased web pages are saying? Anyway, that's my thought for the day. Thank you very much. Catch you later. And check out the Facebook page, DC Fan Gives Hope.